Willow burst into tears when Scout told her the shocking truth. Willow Tate Corinthus had always believed that Port Charles had finally granted her the peace she'd spent years fighting for. After surviving leukemia, reconciling with Nina, and watching her family become whole again, she allowed herself to believe life might finally be normal. But peace in Port Charles was a fleeting gift. And that gift shattered the moment Scout Kane, trembling and pale, stepped into the Corinthos gatehouse clutching something to her chest, something that would send Willow into uncontrollable tears and change the lives of multiple families forever. Earlier that day had been simple: breakfast with Michael, checking homework with Wiley, and listening to Amelia's new words. Willow had smiled through each moment, unaware that an emotional earthquake was already rumbling beneath the surface. When the knock came, hesitant, soft, almost frightened, Willow expected a delivery or perhaps Nina checking in. Instead, she opened the door to find Scout, eyes swollen as though she'd been crying for hours. "Scout? Sweetheart, what's wrong?" Willow asked, instantly concerned. The little girl's voice cracked. "Miss Willow, I have something I have to tell you." And from that instant, Willow's world began to crumble. Scout Kane had always been a curious child, too perceptive, too intelligent, and too determined for her age. She was the kind of kid who asked the questions adults tried to avoid. The kind who overheard things adults assumed she wouldn't understand. But nothing could have prepared her for what she found that afternoon in Drew's office drawer. She hadn't meant to look. She had been searching for a marker for a school project. But the drawer she opened wasn't filled with pens, notebooks, or paperclips. It was filled with sealed DNA reports, old case files, and a single manila envelope marked "Private, not to be opened." Curiosity pulled Scout toward the envelope like a magnet. And when she opened it, she found the truth. A truth she didn't recognize but knew would break someone's heart. A truth about Willow. A truth about her real connection to someone she never expected. When Willow guided Scout gently inside the living room, the little girl's hands shook as she held out the envelope. "I didn't mean to find it," Scout whispered. "But it said your name, and Mommy says that secrets hurt people. I don't want anyone hurt." Willow's heart slammed against her ribs. "My name?" she echoed. "Yes," Scout said, pushing the envelope toward her. "And another name, a name that made Mommy cry when she heard it once." Willow took the envelope as the room spun around her. Something deep inside her warned. Whatever is inside this envelope, your life before today will not survive it. Willow slowly unfolded the papers in the envelope. Her eyes scanned the lines once, twice, and then her breath caught. Then she read it a third time, because the words refused to make sense. DNA match, 99.98%. Subjects, Willow Tate and Scout Kane. Relationship, biological half-sisters. Willow's world tilted violently. She froze, unable to understand, unable to breathe. Half-sisters? Scout? Drew's daughter? That meant, no. Impossible. Completely impossible. Willow stared at Scout, her eyes filling. "Honey, do you know what this means?" Scout nodded weakly. "It means, you're my sister. A big sister. I always wanted one. But Daddy, he didn't tell me." Her voice broke. "He didn't tell you either." And that was the stab that finally pushed Willow over the edge. A sob escaped her, raw and painful. She pressed her hand to her mouth as tears streamed down her cheeks faster than she could wipe them away. Scout rushed forward and threw her small arms around Willow. "I didn't want to make you cry," she said in a whisper. "But secrets make things worse." Willow held her tightly, shaking uncontrollably. "This changes everything," Willow whispered into Scout's hair. "Everything." Michael Corinthos walked in seconds later, holding his phone, mid-conversation about ELQ. But the sight before him wiped every business concern from his mind. Scout clutching Willow. Willow sobbing uncontrollably. DNA papers scattered across the coffee table. "Willow? What happened?" Willow tried to speak but couldn't. Scout looked up at Michael with huge, frightened eyes. "I had to tell her," she whispered. "I had to." Michael quickly pieced it together. He picked up the papers and froze. His heartbeat stopped. "Is this real?" he whispered. Willow nodded helplessly. Michael knelt down beside her and held her shoulders. "Willow, listen to me. Whatever this is, we will get through it together." But Willow shook her head wildly. "Michael, this means that someone lied. Someone hid this. And Drew must have known." Michael's jaw tightened. And then a darker realization hit both of them simultaneously. If Willow and Scout were half-sisters, then Drew Kane was connected to Willow's biological past in a way no one ever imagined. Old ghosts began clawing their way to the surface. Willow remembered the years of wondering who her biological parents truly were before Harmony stole her. She remembered the trauma, the loss, the fight for identity. But never, not even in her darkest dreams, had she imagined being connected to Drew Kane, a man she respected, trusted, and considered family by extension. How could this happen? Willow whispered, devastated. Michael squeezed her hand. We're going to talk to Drew. He needs to explain this. Scout's little voice piped up, soft but firm. Daddy didn't want anyone to know. I heard him talking to Grandma Monica once. He said, it will destroy everything. I can't tell Willow. Not now. Willow's tears fell harder. Michael's eyes widened. This isn't new, he realized. Drew has known for a long time. And that betrayal cut Willow deeper than she expected. Drew had saved her life. Drew had protected her family. Drew had always been honest, honorable, loyal. Or so she believed. But this was unforgivable. Carly Corinthos arrived at the gatehouse moments later, intending to drop off cookies for Wiley. Instead, she walked into an emotional firestorm. Scout crying. Willow shaking. Michael furious. And DNA papers on the table. Carly froze. What on earth is going on? Michael thrust the papers at her. Did you know about this? Carly scanned them. Her face went pale. Willow stepped forward, voice raw from crying. Carly, did you know? There was a long, terrible pause. Carly swallowed. I knew Drew was investigating something about your past. Something he said might change everything. But he didn't tell me this. Willow's knees nearly buckled. Carly reached for her, but Willow stepped back sharply. Don't, Willow whispered. Please don't. Michael glared at Carly. Why wouldn't he tell us? Why keep something this big secret? Carly struggled for an answer. And then another terrifying possibility entered the room. What if? Willow began shakily. This isn't just about Drew knowing. What if this is about the person who caused all of this? Carly immediately thought of one name. Nina. Michael asked, reading her expression. Carly shook her head slowly. No. Someone wise. Someone who's been manipulating families for decades. Willow gasped. Harmony, she whispered. The door opened again, this time with a far heavier presence. Drew Kane stepped inside, cheerful and unaware of the emotional carnage waiting for him. Hey everyone, what's? He froze when he saw the DNA papers. Scout ran to him, tears streaking her cheeks. Daddy, I told them. I'm sorry. I had to. Drew closed his eyes in anguish. Michael stepped forward, anger radiating from him. Explain. Now. Drew set his jaw. I can explain, he said quietly. But you won't like any of it. Willow's voice shook violently. You knew I was Scout's sister. You knew and never told me. Why? Drew lowered his head. Because the truth goes deeper than the DNA report. Much deeper. Willow's breath hitched. Tell me, she demanded. Tell me everything. And Drew did. Drew explained how, months ago, he began investigating Harmony's past again after a new lead surfaced. During his search, he uncovered a forgotten hospital storage record from the 1990s, a record that referenced 2 infants taken in the middle of the night by a woman matching Harmony's description. One child was later identified as Willow. The other? The file had been redacted. But the DNA report Drew secretly ran confirmed the horrible truth. The second baby was Scout's biological mother. Meaning the woman Drew once loved, Scout's mother, had been taken just like Willow. And the woman who later gave birth to Scout was not her biological mother. Drew's voice cracked. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to reopen your trauma, Willow. And I didn't want Scout growing up confused and hurt. Willow stared at him, devastated. So you lied instead? Drew nodded miserably. Yes. I lied to protect you. Willow wiped her cheeks, furious and heartbroken. You don't get to decide that. Willow collapsed onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. The room blurred around her. Her body shook as years of buried trauma ripped back open. Scout climbed into her arms. I want you to be my sister, she whispered. You're nice. You make me feel safe. And those innocent words, pure, gentle, honest, broke Willow completely. She held Scout tightly, crying into her hair. "You are my sister," Willow whispered through tears. "And nothing will take that away." Michael knelt beside them and held Willow as she sobbed. Carly stepped back, tears in her own eyes. Even Drew wept silently. The revelation didn't just change Willow and Scout, it rewrote family lines across Port Charles. And it was only the beginning. As Willow's tears slowly subsided, she wiped her face and looked up at Drew with a mixture of grief and rage. "This isn't over," she whispered. "I need answers. Real answers. About my family. About Scout's family. About everything Harmony stole from us." Drew nodded. "I'll help you. Every step of the way." But before anyone could say another word, Willow's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and went pale. Michael saw her expression and grabbed the phone. A new message. From an unknown number. The text read, "Stop digging. Or Scout won't be the only child who loses a family." Willow's entire body froze. Michael's eyes widened in horror. Drew's fists clenched. Carly gasped. But Scout. Scout looked up at Willow with fear trembling in her voice. "Is someone going to hurt us?" Willow pulled her close. "No," she whispered fiercely. "I won't let anyone hurt you." But deep inside, Willow knew. This wasn't a threat. It was a promise. And whoever sent it was connected to the truth Harmony took to her grave. Someone still alive. Someone still watching. Someone who didn't want Willow and Scout uncovering the past. And that someone was willing to destroy anyone who dared to try. Within hours, word spread across Port Charles. Willow and Scout were related, Drew had been hiding the truth, and an unknown threat now circled the families involved. Nina fainted when she heard. Ava smirked knowingly. Alexis nearly collapsed. Sam panicked for Scout. And Monica Quatermain demanded an emergency family meeting. The Quatermains, Corinthoses, and Canes were suddenly thrown into an explosive war of secrets, betrayals, and dangerous truths. And Willow, gentle, compassionate Willow, found herself in the center of a storm more emotionally violent than anything she had ever endured. But this time, she wasn't the quiet survivor. She was the mother, the protector, the sister Scout desperately needed. And she would burn Port Charles to the ground before she let anyone take that away. That night, after Scout fell asleep in Willow's arms, Willow stepped onto the porch of the gatehouse and stared at the dark woods surrounding the property. She felt it before she saw it, the prickling sensation of being watched. Then, a figure stepped out from behind a tree. A woman. Tall. Blonde. Calm. Willow's heart stopped. The woman smiled. "It's time we talked," she said softly. "Sister." Willow choked on air. Who are you?" The woman stepped into the moonlight. "My name isn't important yet," she said. "What matters is this." She tilted her head with a chilling smile. "I'm the one Harmony stole you from. And I'm the real key to your past." Willow staggered back in shock. Before she could respond, the woman melted back into the shadows, leaving Willow shaking, terrified, and more confused than ever. The truth was coming. And it was far worse than anything in Drew's envelope.